Well, hey guys, welcome back to the Field Notes podcast.
Yeah, so it has been a long journey since we last recorded a video.
Last time we were on, we were in Honduras.
That's right, so it has been, 3-4 countries since then?
Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. 5.
Mm-hmm. Not including that little trip to Guatemala to get to El Salvador.
That's true. And that little trip back through Honduras to get to Nicaragua.
Yes, we have to do a lot of jumping to get to a new country. But hey, we finally made it to our final destination for this year.
Right. We're in Panama.
Yes! So the kids are really excited. They're actually resting. It has been a long journey.
Yeah. No, I think there at the end of it, everybody was wearing out. We were just kind of ready to be out of the car, like, for a while.
Yeah.
So we're really grateful that that we made it. We're grateful to have a house. 2-3 days before we got here, we got in touch with a real estate agent,
Yes.
and we were able to negotiate a price in our price range where we could get a house that was big enough for the family. And so, yeah, we are leasing this house for the next year. And
it was definitely a miracle from the Lord because we were so worried. You know, we don't like to worry, especially because the Word of God says not to, right?
Right.
But sometimes you can't help it. And, going to a new country, even though John has been here several years ago, it was my first time. I didn't know what to expect, and I was actually nervous because we needed to find a home, like the home, right before getting to here because, finances. We were trying to be good stewards of what we have and just get a home because just like in America, you have to have a deposit.
Yeah.
You have to have the extra money for anything else.
And not only that, but also, especially being foreigners coming here, like that adds a complication in a lot of places, especially when we were in Mexico. It did.
Yeah.
Not so much here in Panama though. That was a huge relief. We were able to get in. All we needed was the deposit and the rent payment. So
yeah, we found really good favor with the realtor, and I ended up finding out that she's the owner of this house.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to negotiate some things. And then people work a lot with expats around.
Yeah.
So that works in our favor. And, we could talk a lot about this.
Yeah, no kidding. But maybe a different time.
Yes.
But no, anyway, absolutely just a miracle that we managed to get here, right?
No kidding.
To this house specifically.
Yes.
As we were looking for a place to go, and at the time when we were looking, we were in Costa Rica. Everything in Costa Rica is expensive. So, like, we're burning through our budget, and day by day, it's like, man, I don't know if we're going to have enough to actually put the deposit on a place.
Yeah.
And anyways, so we keep looking. Everything is, like, for a house big enough for our family, where the landlord would actually allow a family of our size to be there. I mean, most of the houses were, $2,000 plus. Mm-hmm. Like, absolutely out of our budget. We're grateful for... for the support that we have, brothers and sisters, churches. We're grateful for the support that we have, but $2,000 a month, I mean, we don't even get that a month.
No.
So, we really needed to be able to negotiate on price, but at the same time, we have been traveling house to house, living in sometimes 2, sometimes 1-bedroom houses, really tight, really small. The kids are really desiring some space, and so we were looking for something that's not just something that we can make work, but something that is actually going to be a good fit for the family. And we found this one. It's a 3-bedroom house plus what they call the bunker, which is where we are now. This is it's like an additional. It can be used as a bedroom. It's used as an office for us right now. It's a podcast studio. So, but it's also going to be
a future guest room. Yeah,
usable for people to come and visit. One of our desires is to bring people into the harvest with us, right? Mm-hmm. And so, we know several people that have already expressed interest in coming and doing some work with us. And so we have a place where we can host them now. And, I mean, that in itself sets this house apart from any other house that we saw.
Yes.
So
we have a backyard.
Yeah, we do have a backyard. It's got grass. It's got trees. Goodness, this is, it's everything that we were praying for. So I'm super grateful for it. I'm really glad that we got it worked out.
Yeah, especially because we need a lot of more extra room in the house, Mm-hmm. We usually try to work it out with whatever we have. But this time we needed to have extra room because,
Go ahead.
we carrying something special again. Just like every year, new edition 2026 this December, we're having another baby.
Yeah, so we found out, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah, we're super excited, though. I mean, it was one of those, we really did not want to find out that we were pregnant while we were traveling just because it's so much stress on the body during the travel. But there at the close of our travel time, we found out that Soraya was pregnant, and I can't be more excited.
Yeah, we're actually super excited. I mean, you would think, oh, another baby. No.
No,
Every baby is
no,
exciting.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
So, December 31st is the due date.
And we are not returning to the States for it.
No, this is going to be a Panama baby. So, yeah, that's really excited. We actually, we live right on the edge of town, so it's not going to be difficult at all to, get Soraya checked out and then have the hospital available nearby for when it's time for the birth. But it's just everything has worked out perfectly. We have space for a new baby. We have access to the medical help that we need whenever it comes to having the baby. And we actually have a better climate. I was really concerned whenever we were coming to Panama because, I've been in eastern Panama every time that I've come here, Panama City and then the Darien Jungle. And it is always hot. I mean, it's like just sitting in a pot of boiling water. I guess the closest thing you could compare it to would be New Orleans.
And that's exactly what I was thinking yesterday.
But yeah, no, Panama City, the Darien, it all just feels like you're in New Orleans, where it's like you're boiling and there's so much humidity you can't breathe, and it's almost unbearable. And so as I was just contemplating that on the way here, especially after finding out that you were pregnant, I was like, man, this is going to be absolutely brutal. And so we started doing a little research because we didn't know where exactly in Panama we wanted to be. We just knew that the Lord had said go to Panama. And so we started doing a little research, and the entire country is hot, honestly. But where we are just north of David on the western end, and about 30 minutes north of us, you can drive up into the mountains. There's a mountain town called Boquete, and I mean, the weather is beautiful there. We drove up there yesterday. At the top of the mountain, it was 73 degrees. Absolutely beautiful. So we have access to good climate. We have access to everything that we need. So, I mean, this couldn't have been any better. The Lord provided everything that we needed. And so, yeah, I just can't stop celebrating, personally.
Yeah, yes, I think it's so wonderful, like you say. We tell people that, the numbers don't match how on earth we hear everything that we have done and still what we have now.
Yeah.
And it's just trusting the Lord and, trusting that His people will respond to, whatever He put in their hearts.
Yeah.
Because that's our lives, just living every day by faith. And sometimes it does get hard, like what I was saying. Sometimes we do worry because, unfortunately, in life, you need money.
No kidding. So we managed to get here. The day before we crossed the border, I noticed that the transmission slipped.
Yes.
And I was thinking, oh no, surely that's not what I just felt. It was 9 months ago that we changed the transmission in the van. And so, don't get me wrong, we've put a lot on that van over the past 2 months, just driving here. But, to feel that transmission slip, especially while we were up in the mountains in Costa Rica, it was just But, I started praying, just praying for the vehicle, praying that God would provide for our needs and such. And He did. He got us here. We're totally set. We've got a house. We've got a grocery store right outside our neighborhood. But then we're driving in town yesterday, and it slips, and it slips again, and it slips again, and I was like, oh no, this is not good news. So we reached out to a local mechanic, and he was like, okay, no worries, I'll drive over there. Just give me a few minutes. So within 20 minutes, he was at our house, and he was examining the van. And so he gave a couple suggestions. He also said that he knew a mechanic in town that does transmission rebuilds, and then we had another person come by this morning. They're going to be doing some repair work on our sofas because there were a couple defects in the sofas. So they're just fixing the sofas today. Anyway, the guy drives a Nissan. He says, "Hey, I actually just had my transmission fixed in my Nissan. Let me give you the number of the guy that fixed it for me." And so, I mean, it's just like everybody is coming around. Everybody is wanting to help out. We've been in several places where it was like people almost looked at us as a burden if we asked for something. And it's just not like that here.
No. And what is crazy, well, we have 2 days here.
Yeah.
And we already met our neighbors. We already met so many people and make connections. There's a big sense of community here where we are. And, you know, like even to the point that you won't see big businesses taking over. It's like most of it is like local people having their business.
I think the only big businesses that we have, especially in our town right here, we have a Domino's Pizza and we have a McDonald's.
Yeah. But everything is like local, but it's just awesome because we love that. It's an easy way to connect with people, you know, share the gospel.
Yeah, absolutely. Building relationships is going to be, I think, the key thing here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm excited just by what we've already started building.
Mm-hmm.
We went and visited a furniture store the other day because, you know, the house came with a couple of the basic furnishings.
Yeah.
It came with a couple of sofas, which we're getting repaired. It came with 2 beds, but you know we're still very much lacking in furniture, though.
We got 6 children.
Yeah,
26.
we need a dining table. We need another bed. Well, actually, bunk beds.
Yes, 2 bunk beds.
Yeah. Anyway, there's still quite a few things that we need, and you know. So, anyways, we went to town yesterday before the transmission was slipping. We were driving around to furniture stores, and you know. Used furniture, new furniture.
Yeah, just trying to see what the prices are around here because the money's not there yet.
Right. Yeah. No, we don't have the budget. Excuse me. We don't have the budget there, but we need to know what it's going to cost us in order that we can plan and budget accordingly.
Yeah.
And so we're out and we're looking at all these different shops. We go to a used consignment shop and we meet this lady from South Africa. Yeah. What was her name? Jane?
Yes.
Yeah, her name was Jane. She
immigrated like 6 years ago with her husband and her child.
Yeah, but really sweet lady, very involved in the community, and she's kind of helping connect us with others that are in the community.
The great thing is like so the way that we situate it here, we're right in the middle. So at the south, you got the Panamanians. Obviously, here in the middle is like a mix, and then up north is all like expats. People from, obviously you still have Panamanians.
Yeah.
And then you got the farmers. There's so many farms out there.
Yeah, it's all coffee farms.
But the thing is that it's a bilingual area.
Yeah.
So he's able to communicate a little more with people.
Yeah, no, it's actually been great. So far, I was able to talk with Jane.
Yeah.
I was able to talk with the mechanic that came yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We didn't know he was bilingual. And he just
showed up and started talking to me. I was like, wow, this is amazing. But no, the other night, whenever we stopped at the little kiosk over there for dinner, there was a couple from Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't speak much English, which kind of surprised me. But hey, we were able to get by with the English that we had.
They speak French.
French and Spanish, and a little bit of English. But anyways, that's just a little bit about where we are and what we're working through right now. We're in need of some things. We're in need of repairing
That's number one thing.
The transmission, yeah.
The transmission. Without our vehicle, I mean, we can walk around, but yeah.
Well, there's a few reasons we need the vehicle fixed immediately. Number one, yes, you are pregnant. Number 2 is that we still have to do border runs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You can explain a little about that. So
basically, the way that it works right now, we are on tourist visas, and we have a tourist visa for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, we have to cross over into Costa Rica.
Yeah, but even still, the rule is that within those 3 months, every month, a day before, 28, 29 days.
We have to go check in at the customs office.
Yes, which is really inconvenience because, why to get 3 months visa if I still have to be checking in every month?
Even so, that's not that big of a deal.
Well, the point is that we still need a vehicle to get to those
But that's
places.
not a big deal.
Okay.
The office is like 15 minutes from us, so it's not hard. We could even go in a taxi. Not a big deal. The big deal, though, is we have to be able to get back to Costa Rica. And so
Well, yeah,
we
that's
need the vehicle operational so that we can go to Costa Rica. But, you know, they're not doing things on credit here, so you got to have the cash up front to get the van repaired.
Yeah.
So yeah, first and foremost, we have to get our van fixed. After that, we need furniture. We need beds for our kids.
Priority.
We need a dining table for us to eat at,
Yeah.
because the kids just don't understand eating on the floor, right? And so we have a few basic needs that we are prioritizing, and we're working through. But you know, kind of building a budget so that we can make it work, so that we can
And
get
then-
things
yeah.
as the need arises.
Yeah, and then obviously we need to have the money to pay this place every month.
Yeah, because we do have rent. So several needs. You know, anybody watching, we're not asking you to give, but we're asking that you would pray and just say, "Hey, Lord, is this something that you want me to do?" Because like we believe that God will provide the resources from anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be through you. Praise God if it is. That's awesome. We love it whenever brothers and sisters come and join alongside and help support. But like, we don't expect it. We don't put our hands out and just say, "Hey, fill my hand." No, it's not like that, because we have had so many situations, miracles, where it's like we have hoped and expected that somebody would come alongside and help support, and they just don't. But then out of nowhere, God just gives us the resource that we need, whether that's cash, whether that's food, whether that's a place to stay or whatever.
Or a person.
Right. I mean, have you even thought about how many people along this trip have just given us places to stay
Yeah.
for free? You know,
Such a miracle.
yeah. So we're actually going to kind of divert away from our needs right now, and I want to just break down some of those stories, because the last time that we did an episode, we were still in Honduras, and that was like day 2 in Honduras. So there's a lot of missing information. I just want to kind of speed through that stuff and kind of break down a little bit of what we saw happen from Honduras until here.
Yeah. You can leave me, because sometimes my memory is a little
Okay, we'll
blurry.
start with your family.
Yeah, so again, you know, I was the first one to come to the Lord from my family. So, you know, big deal for me, because, you know, that opened a way for, you know, many of them to come. You know, we got my mom following, and then, you know, my brother. And so to have the opportunity to go back to Tela and, you know, speak to my family about it was a big deal for me. And so, yeah, I got to share the gospel with them. You know, some of them received them, some of them just pondering in it. And, you know, there's some people that, you know, are in some religions such as Jehovah's Witness, which I believe for it to be a cult. So, anyway, so, you know, those people just pondering the things that I have to say. But I did saw the Lord just opening so many doors there, you know, having to ministry through the TV station and having to reach so many people. Like, I was walking in the street and people be like, "I saw you on TV." You know, and it's like, "Yeah, I heard your message." And so to me it was great, because, you know, I didn't have enough time to just reach everybody that I ever knew.
Right.
So that the Lord opened, you know, different TV stations for us to share, and then I got to reach, you know, almost everybody that I believe. That was just awesome. And then, you know, getting texts of people actually hearing and receiving, that was really encouraging. And then we also went into ministry, another city in Honduras.
In La Ceiba.
In La Ceiba, and connected with this contact that we've been hearing for several years.
Yeah.
That was also an awesome time, because they also are living the same life that we do, you know, traveling from city to city and living by faith. They're more older than us, you know, and I just thought it was really cool. So through them, we got to have more contacts in Central America. And then, so, and obviously the Lord was providing for us in there, like, we were getting food drop, or we got the home that we were staying there for free through an aunt. And I don't know what else to say right now.
Yeah, no, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
that pretty much summarizes it. But, you know, just a lot of, while we were in Honduras, there was a lot of relationship restoration.
Yes.
There was a lot of, God just coming alongside and meeting our needs through having a place to stay, through, food from family, through, everything was met. Absolutely wonderful time. Whenever we went to La Ceiba and we were preaching with Ovidio and Gladys, we were seeing people, getting set free in the street right there.
Yeah, like they will come crying and weeping.
Yeah, there was a taxi driver that, he was just driving around doing his job. And then he was sitting at the stoplight. He heard the gospel being preached. He clocked out. He parked the car. He came over and just started talking to us. Mm-hmm. And, he was weeping, and God was really working in his heart. We prayed over him. He got set free from a few things. It's been so long, I don't remember what it was. But nonetheless, that guy right there. And then we finished talking to him, and there was the other guy that had been waiting on the side. It was just like people were lining up to be ministered to. I had a great time that day.
Yes. And, another thing that also impacted, like, especially the females in my family was just John. So they just kept saying, wow, he's so different from the men around here. And then, like, he helps you, he cares for you, he loves you. And then one thing that they say is, like, our spouses and every other men around town, every time a woman just walk by, they just follow her with their eyes. It's like they always looking at other women. But we've been watching your husband, and he doesn't take his eyes from you. He doesn't take his eyes from his children. He's not looking after another flesh. He's like so faithful to you. They were saying it's like it's so incredible that he's not ashamed to help you with the dishes or to sweep around or help you cook. It's like there's something different about your husband, and that's how I will also talk about the Lord, because that's something that he has in him that makes it different from the other men, so that he can keep his eye on his spouse and not someone else, not lusting after other people. So they were very impressed. They were very shocked that a man can be faithful to his wife, to his family, and not be sexist. Yeah. Because that's a big thing in Honduras, in that part of town where I am. That's why for a long time, before coming to the Lord, I just hated men. I never wanted to marry one. It was such a hate because of what I grew up seeing. I didn't even want to have children because of that. But, thank the Lord, he blessed me with a great husband, and, he took that away from me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Anyways, from Honduras, we crossed into Guatemala while we had a stomach bug.
Yeah, we were.
That was rough. So the day before we left, we had fish, and I don't think that's where it came from, but I do think that might have been the trigger that pushed you over the edge. Anyways, Soraya and Jubilee both got sick. Soraya spent like 2 days in bed, and Jubilee was kind of back and forth, but we had things on the schedule. We had to keep moving.
Yeah.
And so we spent the entire day in the car driving from Honduras to Guatemala City. We get to Guatemala City that evening, and we
have a domino effect.
Yeah, it was rough. So who was it? Timothy and Galilee?
Yeah.
That night. And then the next night, it's
I believe Malachi
and I.
Oh, you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I think Zeb came last. But it was just like everybody, one after another. Maya was the only one that did not end up getting sick. And it only lasted about a day and a half, but it was miserable.
Yeah, especially during travel time.
Yeah, on the final leg of mine, we went and climbed a volcano, so that wasn't enjoyable. But no, anyways, we passed through Guatemala City. We went down to San Salvador and El Salvador, and we spent some time with Charlie's dad. Why don't you go ahead and explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So back when I was 11, my brother, I was 12-ish, 12, 13. My little brother Charlie, he was 4 or 5. We live in El Salvador because that's where we were left when my mom migrated to the States. So I was under the guardianship of Charlie's dad. For those that don't know, he's my half-brother, but we have such an intimacy growing up, so close to each other, we were the only family to one another. So we never saw, you just have my brother. Anyway, in case some people do say it that way for for your situation. Either way. Anyway, so going back to my story. So so we were living in El Salvador. And during that time, the gangs were just running loose. It was like some Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was so dangerous. Like when we were there, I would show my children the route that I took going to school, and I would tell them, I used to walk by myself going to school, all of this, and they're like, what? Why did abuela let you do that? Oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. And it's like, well, that was just my life, and then I ended up having to do things by myself. And to them was really, shock, impressed, but like just seeing their mother's childhood, how different it is from them. But either way, what I'm trying to say with it is that it was a really dangerous time in El Salvador. It was not safe at all, but that's where I was. I didn't have an option. At the time, I was a minor. But then this time, the gangster came because they thought that Charlie's dad have money, that we have money. They have rumors that my mom live in the States. So they automatically thought, there's money here. So they asked Charlie to pay rent to them. Like that's a fee. Like if you don't pay this, we kill you. Well, somehow he thought it would be a great idea to tell him, no, I'm not gonna pay you that, even though there was a lot of evidence that they were not playing around. So they came one Sunday. I even went to church today because I knew they were coming. I was not a church goer. Oh, I was so afraid. Anyway, so I returned to my neighborhood, and there was no electricity that day. It was pitch dark, and they were coming for us. They came in a white van, and they were gonna kill us. I have nothing to do with this, but I was gonna pay the price, of that. So thankfully, we were able to run away because one of Charlie's aunts gave us a place to hide. So we ran. We went to a ditch. There was no other people there, but we went and hid in a ditch. And from the ditch, I went to hide at this house. They went and rioted my house. They broke windows. They tried to break in. And then we tried to call the police. That was a risk event, because at that time you couldn't trust the police. It was like a 50-50 chance that they were in it. So they came. They went to search the house. They couldn't find anybody. They found out a few days later that they were there. They were hiding on the roof. But anyway. Sorry, I forgot why I'm telling this story. So what I'm trying to tell with this story, I ended up migrating back to Honduras because of that event that, traumatized me for a while. I never wanted to go back to El Salvador because, I almost lost my life. I was a child, and how I was going to pay the money. Either way, there was also a lot of background with Charlie's dad that was not good. There was a lot of violence in the house, especially not having a mother around. But we were, thanks to the Lord, we were able to restore those things, and we were able to forgive, to lift the air clear. And we also got to share the fullness of the gospel with him. He has been a baptized for like 15 years, he said, or 50 years, I don't know, for a long time. Anyway, but we talked to him, have you ever heard about the Holy Spirit? And he's like, no, what is that? Right?
Yeah.
So John got to share that with him. And he also, verbally, we have already talked before on text. We have already, came to peace with one another, but he also verbally stated once again, to ask us for forgiveness. And so that was really nice. So we did that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that El Salvador was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like it was when I was a little girl.
Yeah, no, the entire nation has been reformed. Under their current president, he basically came in, and anybody that was remotely involved with a gang goes to prison.
For life.
For life, yeah. Like complete reform. And, I'm sure it took a lot of time for things to fall into alignment, but it's like right now, it looks as though El Salvador is kind of at a high that they had never been before, where it's like, this is a good country.
Yeah.
I saw somebody had posted on Facebook the other day about their president Bukele, and he had been asked, what was it that took place that actually brought about the change in your country? And he could have said, well, we put all the we put all the gangsters in prison, or he could have said we did this, or we passed this law or that law or whatever. That's not what he said, though. He said, we decided that in order to lead a country, it must first be led in prayer. And so we pray. And I mean, you can see the fruit of just that, the fruit of putting God first. And I know there are so many people out there that would argue, well, government leaders, they don't really serve God or whatever. And you can throw whatever stone you want at them. But I was there.
And God with kings.
Yeah, right. I was there. I saw something that you don't see through Facebook, that you don't see through, those wild conspiracy posts or whatever. Go and observe for yourself. You can see that something has taken place there that is outside the realm of what a government can accomplish.
Yeah, the people are happy.
Yeah, I mean, God has been at work in that nation.
Indeed.
And so, I was really grateful to be there. We went out to preach in front of the National Palace, and we were on our way out there. We had our speaker in the bag on my back, and as we're walking out there, we come across another older man. He's out there doing the same thing. He's got a megaphone and he's preaching. And so we stop and we say, "Hey, it's really good to see you out here doing this. We're really encouraged by that. We're here to do the same thing." And so he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't remember what he said." But he was excited to see that we were out there to do it too. So right as we're about to walk away, the police come up to him and they're telling him, "Hey, you can't use amplification out here. So either you need to put away your megaphone or you need to leave." And they were nice, they were respectful, they weren't bullying him or anything like that.
They were just playing. You can preach, but you cannot use
amplification.
Yeah.
Right, and so we just kind of watched how everything happened. We talked to him after they had walked away. He was like, "Yeah, no, they said I can't use my amplification, but I'm still allowed to preach, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to preach." And so he put his megaphone down, and he just grabbed his Bible, and he just started saying, the gospel of the kingdom is this. Mm-hmm. And he just kept on preaching, and I'm sure we walked away, but I'm sure people heard. I'm sure people were drawn in, because that's what we experienced. We go over in front of the National Palace, and
we have a big group in front of us.
Yeah. No. So we set up in front of the palace. There was a tree with a few benches, and the benches wrapped all the way around the tree, and there were 20, 30 people spread out among those benches there. There was another bench to the far right, and then all throughout the plaza. I mean, I've never seen a plaza that had more of a police presence than this one. And so it was one of those I don't know, because we're actually in the main plaza, I don't know if they're going to allow us to preach or not. But hey, we're here. This is what we're here to do, so let's go for it. And so, the speaker is still sitting on the ground. We're not using it. We just start shouting. And as we're shouting, preaching the gospel, people are hearing, and they're actually drawing closer to us, right? Those that are sitting on the bench right in front of us, they really kind of give us their attention. And other people, they're walking from across where the other benches were to come and sit on the bench in front of us and hear what we're saying. But not only are we catching the attention of all the civilians that are there, the police, I mean, it's like the police just kind of surrounded us. But
it was intimidating.
It was intimidating, but that wasn't the purpose. Intimidation wasn't the purpose. Yeah. They were listening, right? There was this one female officer. She was looking at us like she really didn't like that we were there. And we assumed if anybody was going to shut us down, it was probably going to be her. But she didn't. She allowed us to continue preaching, and so we preached. And then whenever we finished, we walked around praying for people. There was a lady that we prayed for. She had diabetes?
Yeah, Dora.
Yeah, good job on the name. Yeah, so we prayed for Dora. She had diabetes. Instantly, she broke down crying as we were praying for her. There was another person.
Yeah, it was a man, I believe. I don't remember.
I don't recall. Anyways, we had a really good time ministering. So whenever we are finishing...
My sandal broke.
Not yet. Oh. Whenever we're finishing... Yeah.
Yeah, my sandal broke.
Yeah, your sandal broke. You're right. And so I went back to the van to get zip ties, duct tape, a pocket knife, and to put the speaker away.
Yeah.
And so I go put the speaker away, and I come back so that I can do my little MacGyver trick on your shoe. And go ahead and tell them what you told me.
So the same police lady that was staring at us, with her face unliking us, she came and approached me. Though I got so intimidating because, she has a very strong figure. But no, she was just like, saying how much she wants another baby. And because she's seeing me with all the children. She said, I have another baby at home. And I really want another baby, but I've been having some complications. She said, she was talking about her preeclampsia, and then I was like, oh, I have preeclampsia in the past too with 2 babies, so we got to talk about that. And, she was saying that that's her reason why she don't want to have another baby because it's too scary. And then I just went and tried to encourage her in the Lord to trust in Him, with our health, to trust our children with our health. That it is His will for us, to multiply, to have kids. He's the one that gives life, and He's the one that takes it away. And so, she was just there admiring my kids, just, wanting to hug them, but she couldn't, right, because she's in post right now. But, she was really heartbroken because of that. So I just got to encourage her. I couldn't pray for her because, again, she's in post. She cannot have that close interaction. But she wasn't against it. She was just dealing with something inside of her.
But that also didn't stop us from praying for her.
Yes, we
on
still
our
pray.
own.
Yeah.
Whenever I came back and you told me that, we just stopped and prayed, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? And so just if they're on post and we can't have the interaction with them, okay, well then we'll just have the interaction over here without you, but for you.
Yes.
But anyways, no, we had an awesome time in El Salvador. We went and visited a church that one of your old classmates is a part of. Yeah. He invited us to join them, and the next time we're in El Salvador, we have an opportunity to go and minister to the youth there.
Yeah, we had it at that moment, but we were required to stay longer, which we didn't have that time.
Yeah, no, we had already scheduled a few meetings in Nicaragua, and so we had to honor that schedule. So yeah, yes. We weren't able to make it work this time. But hey, next time we have an open invitation. Mm-hmm.
We also have an invitation to go in ministry at hospitals to pray for the sick.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, in El Salvador, a lot of doors are opening. There's a lot of connections, and the next time we're up there, probably, what do you think? A year, maybe 2?
Until we go there?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, probably next year. That's likely to happen. But yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and to get to El Salvador, we also have to go through Costa Rica and Nicaragua, and so it's just like the Lord has been providing connections, providing opportunities everywhere that we've gone. When we left El Salvador, we went to Nicaragua. For those that don't know, we've shared a little bit about this before, but for those that don't know, Nicaragua is a communist country. They as we were traveling through the capital, you can look around and they've got.
They have a lot of monuments for Chavez.
Yeah, just a lot of other political communist leaders.
Yeah, like
around the world. But it was kind of shocking. I've been in communist countries before, but that was almost always just transiting. I don't think I've ever actually purposefully visited a communist country, and so this was the first time. And man, it's completely different than everywhere else that we traveled on this journey.
Yeah.
So before we went, we had to pre-register a week before. I was thinking, oh yeah, that's probably going to make us or help us get through the border a lot quicker because they already have our information. But no, we spent 4 hours at the border trying to get in. Finally, they let us after going through every single thing that we own, and after asking us so many questions, pointless questions, and paying for our visas and all of that. Like, so much time spent getting into that border. But once we were there, we got to drive the national speed limit of 31 miles per hour across the entire country. We spent 5 days in country. We were based out of Managua, and then we took a day trip to Granada.
Yeah, Managua, even though it's the capital, right?
Managua is the capital.
So poor.
Yeah. No, Granada is like their tourist town.
Yeah, definitely another world in there.
Yeah, Granada is it's similar to Antigua, Guatemala. It's like Colombian era architecture.
Yes. So like if you go to Nicaragua and you go to Granada, you're not gonna experience what we're talking about
Right.
because it's so different over there.
Yeah. Anyways, back in Managua, the capital, you know, they've got their communist propaganda everywhere. On our second to last day there, we were coming back from lunch. We were going to change clothes and then head for the meeting that we were going to be preaching at, and we had to divert like 8 different times looking for a different route because there was a political march going on, and you know, in Nicaragua, there's only one political party. It's the Communist Party. Everything else has been squashed and
allowed to.
kicked out,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, if there's something political happening, it's a communism gathering. They're celebrating, and it was really interesting to me. It's like the whole country is behind.
It's like
Behind the political party, like full support.
brainwash.
That's kind of what it looked like
That's what
from
it
our
is.
perspective. Yeah,
Either brainwash or they're just afraid
yeah, that's possible.
to get their opinion out.
But anyways, there was a lot of support for it, and so that was kind of shocking. I hadn't expected that because, you know, every time I've seen any other nation with these similarities, it's like the people are against the government.
And they're not afraid to express their opinions. But here, nobody was expressing anything different than supporting it, being proud of it. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend your country, but there's nothing to be proud about this. This is not all right.
No, I mean, everybody is kept in absolute poverty. There's really, the only way that you have access to, you know, a wealthy life is if you're a part of the government. And, you know, everybody else is just kept under a thumb. And so it was kind of shocking just seeing everything. But hey, I mean, nonetheless, the gospel was preached. Like we had a great time.
And then while we were trying to detour through that parade, we ended up seeing local of church people there speaking on a speaker, preaching on a. And so,
they were open air preaching.
Yeah, so John just stopped the car, you know, and then we just ran to them and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing this! We love it too. We're doing this too." So I got to introduce myself to them.
Yeah.
And you know, and I ended up finding out I was speaking to the pastor's wife of that church, and they welcomed us to join them next time to, not to join them in the fact of, you know, street preaching, but we will. But they were kind of like saying, yeah, because we're from here, we can do this. You know, they really cannot do something to us. But for foreigners, they were saying, it's another thing.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it seems like if foreigners are getting involved in anything, it's a lot easier for everyone to get in trouble.
Yes.
You know, they are willing to allow the locals to talk about the Lord, to preach the gospel openly and all of that. But if foreigners, if outside influence is starting to do it, there's instantly a problem. And so, you know, if we were to get up on the speaker and start preaching, there's the possibility that we get deported.
Especially, they say to be watchful with the people, not even most with the local police, but the people is the one that's going to snitch on you.
Yeah, the people that live in the community.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. Like I was very encouraged seeing that, you know, people are out preaching the gospel, because that was kind of what we had been focusing on with the church that we were ministering at. Is like, you know, they've become comfortable just sitting within the walls of the church. You know, they turn their speakers up super loud every single service.
It's not enjoyable.
So that the entire community can hear, but they never go outside the walls to actually
build a relationship, get to know the people,
to engage the people outside the church.
Yeah.
And so, you know, their hope is that by the songs that we sing, by the words that we preach and all of that, you know, people will hear from outside and they'll come inside. But, you know, from what we've seen, it just doesn't work that way.
It's just
these days, like, we have to go, we have to engage, we have to connect, we have to build relationship.
Yeah,
we have to share the gospel.
And, you know, just remove the religious look, the religious things that people do. Like, what we have seen is like people like just the realness. That, you know, they just want the genuineness.
Yeah,
love.
And I mean, like, this kind of goes to further back up what I stand on so much. I know there are plenty of people that will argue with me over the statement I'm about to make, but I do not believe that the church is for the world, that the church is for the lost, right? The church is the body of Christ. And if you're not born again, you are not a part of his body, right? And so the church is not a place for preaching the gospel. The church is a place for encouraging, building up disciples.
Yeah.
Right? The church is the place for those that are already in Christ, not those that are without Christ. And so we, as the church, are to be going into the world where the lost are, sharing the gospel, preaching to them, baptizing them, and then bringing them in to become a part of the body, to be discipled and brought up to maturity in him, right? But, like, whenever we just turn our speaker up really loud and we're like, I hope that they hear what we're saying on these speakers.
But most of the time they don't understand because they're not of the body.
That's true. They don't have any idea what's going on. But, you know, whenever we take that approach and we're just like, I hope that we can persuade them to join our church and maybe they'll receive the gospel, like, it's out of order. No, they need to receive the gospel first and then be brought into the body, right? Because to bring someone that's not in Christ into the body of Christ is to bring a parasite, right? Something that doesn't belong in our body. So if I were to go, you know, out into the Darien jungle, and I were just to walk down to the river and start lapping up water and drinking it, 1,000% I'm going to get a parasite.
Yes.
Right? So in the same way, whenever we go and we're just, you know, we're not trying to make disciples, we're trying to get people in the church, we are just taking on parasites. And what do parasites do? They absolutely destroy the body.
Yeah, you know, the Bible calls it the leaven.
Yeah. Several years ago, while I was in Panama, I got a parasite. And it came with severe side effects. You know, there was vomiting, there was diarrhea. And it was not just, you know, a one and done or, you know, until the parasite passes. It went on for a month. And so for a month, I was dealing with the consequence of that parasite. And it brought severe dehydration, the vomiting, the diarrhea. There were headaches, you know, so many side effects to what this parasite was doing to my body. And so in the same way, whenever the body of Christ takes on parasites, things that don't belong there because they don't have the same nature, they're not made up of the same material, they don't have the Spirit of God within them, right? Whenever we take on outside sources that don't belong in the body, there will be severe side effects. And the side effects will be that of complacency, that of weakness and immaturity, that of, you know, being spiritually starved. Because, you know, one of the churches that we used to be a part of, it was like every single Sunday was an evangelistic meeting, right? Always preaching the gospel, always trying to get somebody to say yes to Jesus. And so therefore the body is starving for something more, for meat rather than milk, and you can't receive the meat because the milk has to keep going out for, you know, those that haven't even received Christ, right? And so, you know, but that was really the approach that this church in Nicaragua was going for. You know, we just need to keep putting out the gospel, and they're not even willing to come to us, and we're not willing to go to them. So we're just going to turn up the speakers and force it into their ears, right? But that's not the way that it works.
Yeah.
Right? As much as I love going out and street preaching, right? The street preaching without the relationships, without going and talking to people, going and engaging people, I mean, it's of little effect.
Yeah.
It might bring some conviction based on who's hearing, but, like, what do they do with that? You know, and so it's important that we're building relationships and that we're actually engaging people. And that's what we were focusing on in this conference is guys, we've got to stop doing things just the way that
the Western side has taught us to
right.
do. You know, like, we have to be open-minded to see it just as it is in the Bible. This is not a personal opinion. This is just, if you start reading, you know, the order of the church, the way to reach the lost, the way to get people, it's like John was talking. It's not the way that we have been taught in the traditional church, the way that it is now. And you could experience yourself how many times you have felt like starving, how many times you have felt like, man, the message of repentance again. You know, I felt so many times like that, you know, a few years ago. But now it's like there's always something new. There's always something that when in these meetings with deep believers, with the, you know, the body of Christ, that there's always a way that the Holy Spirit can move freely and feed that person what they need, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify, this is not a personal opinion. This is just biblical truth that has been, hidden, just not shared, Just because somebody has gone to, Bible school doesn't mean that they know it all,
Yeah, to put it simply like this, we have been doing things through the lens of Western Christianity. And Western Christianity, like my glasses, if you take them off and you actually go and read what the Bible says, you'll see things differently. It's only through a specific lens that we say, oh, well, if we just bring the lost in here, we can share the gospel with them and maybe they'll get saved. But no, we've got to take off those Western lenses because they're corrupting. They're keeping us weak. They're keeping us immature, right? What the body of Christ needs is good health, maturity, right? We need meat, not milk. Mm-hmm. An adult doesn't survive on milk. An adult survives on meat, on protein, on things that strengthen and grow us, right? And so, like you said, not a personal conviction. If you feel like we're presenting a personal conviction right now, before you go throwing stones, hold. Okay, take off the lenses that you're seeing through, and read the New Testament. Read the Book of Acts. Read, Corinthians and Galatians and Ephesians and Philippians and Colossians. Read Thessalonians and all of them. Right? Read those accounts, and then come and talk to me. You're going to see that the church was made up of those that were believers, right? And don't get me wrong, I know that the church in Corinthians, they were pretty messed up. They had some stuff going on, okay? Obviously, they were still in a spot of weakness, okay? But we're not meant to stay in that place of weakness, right? And so we need to stop taking on parasites that are not Christ and calling them Christ. And what we need to do is we need to go out of the church, and we need to make disciples out there in order to bring them in here. And so that was kind of the focus of what we were doing there in Nicaragua. And the church actually, I feel like they really received it well.
Yes, they received it.
And so, we're already invited back the next time we go. We also took that day trip to Granada. We had an awesome time there. There was an American guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he came, I think he was from Ohio.
Yes.
Okay. His name was Greg. He came from Ohio to Nicaragua several years ago. And in Granada, of all places, he opened up a Texas barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we had gone to Nicaragua, I reached out to a brother on Facebook. His name's Cade. But he had gone for ministry in Nicaragua back in January. And so I just messaged him. I was like, hey, I saw that you were in Nicaragua a few months ago. Can you tell me about your experience? How did things go? Because I've been doing some research. I know it's a communist country, and I've been seeing that like Bibles have been outlawed, and you can't take books or anything like that. You can't have cameras. Like, just share your experience with me. And so he told me about what he had gone through. He gave me some warnings and some advice. And man, I was very grateful for that helpful information because I was completely blind going in. But he was like, if you guys end up going to Granada, I know this guy over there. His name is Greg. He is in need of the Lord to touch him. He was like, I was there a few months ago. I went and I met with this guy. I prayed over him, and God is really after him. He went down there as a missionary many years ago, and he just got burned real bad by the local churches there. And so, he kind of hardened his heart and just kind of put up a wall against the Lord, and just kind of hardened his heart towards serving God anymore. And so it was a really sad situation, but so we took that as an opportunity. I love Texas barbecue, and I love preaching the gospel, so, put the two together, and it's like a match made in heaven. So we drove out to Granada going 31 miles an hour. Took us an hour to get there. And we walked around the city, and then we went and found this restaurant, Porky's Barbecue. And we went inside, and at first, I saw a guy that I was pretty sure was him, but he was busy in a conversation. And so we sat down, we had our lunch. He came in and talked to the other group of people that was in the restaurant. And, you can tell that, this guy, he's from America. He's a really nice guy. He's really good at communicating with his guests. But likely because we were such a large family, he didn't approach us. And I was like, maybe he doesn't want to talk. I don't know. So anyways, we go to pay our bill, and I'm like, well, Lord, are we just not going to get the opportunity here? And, I was getting ready to just kind of force a conversation. But he's standing at the register when we go to pay, and so we just engage him and we start talking, and we're sharing our story of what we're doing, how we ended up in Nicaragua of all places with our 6 kids, and we had a great time. After talking for a few minutes, he invited us into the VIP lounge, so that we could pray together. You had something you want to say?
Mm-mm.
You really look like you're about.
No, yeah, I mean, it's not important. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So, anyways, we go into his VIP lounge, and he's kind of explaining his past, how he came, he got hurt, and he had just kind of hardened his heart towards the Lord, and so we're just sharing, because we have some experience in getting burned by the church and getting hurt and stuff like that, and working through those emotions and such, and so we shared kind of how we came out of that, and just encouraged him, and it really doesn't matter what people did to you. Like we've got to stay focused on the Lord. We've got to stay focused on walking in obedience and obeying what He's told us to do. Yeah. And so as we're talking, Greg starts crying, and he was so moved by what we were doing and the price that we were paying to obey God. He got down on his knees, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing. He put his hands on our feet, and he just started blessing our feet and praying for us. And I mean, it was a little unusual, but it was powerful, right? And I was very moved by it. And so he got up after that, and he prayed over us, and then I began praying over him and just praying that God would revive that desire for him in Greg's heart, that Greg would turn from his compromise, turn from his hurt, release the burden that he's been carrying, give that over to Jesus, and just be made new, come back into relationship with the Lord and walk with Him, and just stop walking in that hurt. And again, he's just weeping and he's crying, and he's the Lord's obviously working in him. And so whenever we finished up, he was like, man, I just want to say I'm so encouraged by what you guys are doing. I want you guys to know, we are here to support you guys here in Granada. You guys can come back here anytime you want. He ended up paying for our lunch, which we had already paid. So he was just like, here, take my cash. And then he was like, here, take more cash. I want to bless you guys. He ended up giving us, I think, $50. But yeah, he just wanted to bless us for taking the time to travel across the nations for him. And so, yeah, I absolutely love that encounter. Anything else in Nicaragua?
No, besides that, when it was time to leave, I make a lot of friends at the border because we have a mutual dislike towards the way that the government are doing things. But anyway, I just make a lot of friends there, and just a way to put a little bit of cheeses in it every time. Yeah. So always finding ways. And then
as we were crossing into the Costa Rican side, we actually ran into they were a biker gang, but they were a missionary biker gang. They had gone up to Granada for a ministry outreach, and they were preaching the gospel out there. And then they were on their way back home to San Jose. You can do that in a minute.
Vice my landlord.
You can do it in a minute. So yeah, they were on their way back home, and they're just, we're talking to them in line, and they're sharing stories, and we're sharing stories. It was a great time. It was quite refreshing after coming out of just the strict control within Nicaragua. Just having the freedom to openly share what God is doing with in and through us, and vice versa. Hearing testimonies from their outreach there as well. But so yeah, we go to Costa Rica. We take a couple of days just to rest and catch up, just on family time, on rest, on budgeting and stuff like that. And then on day, I don't even know what day it was, 2 or 3, we went to Gracia. Gracia was the very first place that I went and shared the gospel outside the country. back when I think I was 16. I went with some friends there, and we did things a little uniquely. We were using karate to draw people in order to share the gospel. But even so, that's kind of how I got started in sharing the gospel, sharing my faith. And so yeah, Gracia was where it all started. So I made it a point that we would go back to Gracia and that we would preach in that same plaza. And I mean, I loved it. It was so nice being able to go back. I know you weren't really a huge fan of the area just because everything was so expensive, but that's just Costa Rica in general.
Yeah, I mean, but nevertheless, it was a beautiful country.
Yeah. But no, we had a really good time ministering there. We had a guy come up to us after, and he was just asking where we came from and what we're doing, and
Who's sending you?
he was really encouraged that we were there preaching. Kind of religious in some of the things that he was asking, but nonetheless, he was very encouraged that we had come and that we would be preaching the gospel openly like that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw another guy. He was just recording us, and he was just I don't
Really?
know if you saw him. He was just intrigued there, and I thought he was gonna talk to us, but right when we finished, he got up and he walked away. I wanted to run and be like, "Yeah, don't leave."
Yeah, but the other guy came up.
Yes.
But no, I mean, nonetheless, it was a good time. I was really happy to be able to go back there. After that, we ended up connecting with Mark and his team. So Mark is from our church in Galveston.
Yeah, Church of the Living God.
Yeah.
Galveston.
We met him in September. We spent Thanksgiving with him and his family at their house, and then whenever we were getting ready to leave the States, he was like, "Hey, we're going to be down in Costa Rica in April. If you guys can connect up with us, plan to, because that'll be really cool." And so the day that we left on February 2nd, we were like, we have no idea if that's going to line up or not. We don't know what our dates are going to look like. But every step along the way, it was just like lining up for this. Our van having to be repaired in Mexico, and then
The murder of the guy.
yeah, El Mencho and all of that. Like, there were so many delays that we faced, and some of them were a day, 2 days. Some of them were a week and a half. Yeah, all of the delays that we faced just worked out perfectly in order that we would meet up on the day of. I think if we hadn't had those delays, financially speaking, it would not have been possible for us to wait for them to get there. So it was awesome the way that it all played out. I was happy about that. But no, so we get to town, and our mindset in this was not so much going and doing ministry in the community as much as it was going and doing ministry in the team, because the team is already there to do the ministry in the community, right? And so we could come alongside and just join them in that, but because they're already focusing on that, we wanted to come alongside and minister to the team.
Yeah, encourage.
Right? Because we've been living this life. We know what it's like, and if people are coming here to do this same type of stuff, well, I mean, it should be that we're of the same mind and that we're of the same heart, and so we just have a little bit more experience behind us. And so our intent, our goal, our focus was on ministering to the team, and I think it was a great time.
It was definitely.
There were some really awesome people on the team. Some came from Pennsylvania, some came from Galveston, some came
from Monterrey.
Yeah,
Texas.
They're between Monterey and Laredo, and occasionally they're in Galveston as well. But just awesome people. I really enjoyed spending time with them. I enjoyed sharing testimonies with them. Some of them were super encouraged. I remember I was talking to Alejandro, and he just recently, I don't remember how long he said, it could have been a few months, could have been a couple of years. But anyways, within the recent past, he really decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to go all in for Jesus, because he had just kind of been doing the religious thing where it's like, I go to church, I do this, I do that, but I have things in my life that I know shouldn't be there. And just recently, he came to the decision, all right, I'm going to be all in for Jesus. I'm going to live holy. I'm going to preach the gospel. I'm going to make disciples. And so, I spent quite a bit of time with him while they were here, just sharing testimonies of what God has brought us through. He was really encouraged to see that a family the size that we have would be living the life that we're living. But yeah, I mean, I spent quite a bit of time with him, just talking to him, sharing stories, and really trying to kind of spark that desire in him. Because he shared with me on day one that he has aligned his career path so that he has the freedom to minister.
That's awesome.
And so, I was just kind of trying to spark it in him, like, this is what we live for. We don't live for the job. We don't live for, the career, the influence, or the power, or anything like that. We live for Jesus first. And so just really hoping to spark that in him. But, he wasn't the only one. We talked to Joe and Martha, and they're going to be really strong contacts back up in Mexico.
Yes. That was just the Lord again.
Yeah. So it's like, it's really funny. Our network in Monterey just keeps expanding. Yes. And I love it. And then Jeff and Tina and Trina, they're from Pennsylvania, but as we've been traveling, they've kind of been following behind us. Like, we had no idea who they were, but they've been following city by city behind where we've been, and going through and doing meetings and
they've been doing ministry similar to us.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I had a great time connecting with everybody.
Yeah, and then we also connected with the locals.
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah, and Jorge. Yeah.
Yes.
But so just kind of building a relationship with them. That way in the future, we have opportunity to go back and visit with them. They actually are considering coming here and
Yes.
visiting with us as well in Panama. And so, like, I'm just excited about what's going on there, because, I used to know people in Costa Rica, but I don't have a relationship with any of them anymore. And so, seeing how those doors are reopening is really good.
I sometimes hear, I was telling you that Sunday, God is behind you, God is having your back. But it's like, no, I want God before me.
Right.
I want Him ahead of me. I want to follow Him, not Him me, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how it has been. He is going before me, even though, in a sense, we're preparing the way for the Lord, for His coming. But yeah, He's still before us. It's,
right.
It's just faith. Anyway, it's just crazy talk right now. But I mean, that crazy talk is real, but get mixed with my words there. But yeah, it has been awesome seeing the Lord before us. Putting everything aligned. Not so much because for us, but it's all for Him. It's for His kingdom. And we're just vessels. Doing His will.
Yeah, but I think you could definitely say that, like, the things that the doors that have been opening for us, that's not something that we could have done on our own.
No.
For example, the day that we were first going to meet the team, we were coming from San Jose, the capital, and we were driving. We originally were going to drive down the main highway to where they were, but for some reason, we really wanted a cup of coffee, so we stopped and got a cup of coffee, and that ended up rerouting us on a back highway that a lot fewer people traveled.
Oh, well, we also needed to stop because I needed the bathroom.
Well, yes, but that's not why we were on that road. We were on that road because we wanted coffee. So we're driving down this road through the mountains, and we look up in the trees and we see some toucans, and it's really cool. Then we come to this clearing, really, where you can see through the entire valley, and so this business had opened a souvenir shop and a restaurant and a butterfly garden right there on the side of the road. And so we were like, we've been in the car for an hour and a half sitting in traffic and stuff, so let's just stop. Let's stop. We'll stretch our legs. We can use the restroom and just be out of the car for a minute. Because in case you didn't know, we've spent the last 2 months in the car and we're kind of tired of driving right now. But so we got out of the car. We go into the butterfly garden and
For free.
Everybody's having a great time except for Zebedee. He thinks the butterflies are going to eat him. But so we walk through the garden, and then we go into the souvenir shop, and we're just walking around looking at stuff. We don't buy anything. But, Soraya goes to the restroom, Malachi goes to the restroom, we come out. It's just like everything was timed perfectly in a way that I literally just could not have timed it. So we go out to the parking lot, we're getting in the car, and then this car pulls up behind us, and so strange. Because, people will see us and they'll be like, oh man, you guys have so many kids, and then they'll just go on. But this guy and his wife and his mother-in-law, they see us coming out. We've got our red T-shirts that say Jesus on them, and so they see us and they assume that we're some sort of mission team, and so they pull up behind us. They're like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here? Are you guys with a mission team or something?" And so we're explaining to them, we're on our way out to Chacarita, and we're going to go share the gospel out there and support the team that's out there. And so he was like, "Man, that's so awesome." He's like, "My name is Alexander. I run the coffee farm for Chick-fil-A out of Costa Rica." And he was like, "Whenever you guys finish with your team down there, we would love it if you guys would come and visit with us." So we exchanged numbers, and totally random the fact that we would meet this guy that owns or runs the coffee farm for Chick-fil-A. But awesome. God opens doors like that all the time.
Yeah.
And so we swapped numbers. We're talking throughout the week, just kind of making plans for what we're going to do. We go on Sunday. We go and say goodbye to the team. We're there for church, and then we drive back up into the mountains. And we go to his house, and we spend 2-3 hours with them, with he and his wife. And they're sharing stories about what God has given them to do. And the amazing thing that I've found with this Thrive Farmers that he works for, yes, they are the coffee distributor for Chick-fil-A, and they're the coffee distributor for Delta Airlines and such. But before that, before any of their contracts or anything like that, they actually are focused on the Lord. He sent me a video the day after, and it was a meeting of the heads of Thrive Farmers and in their service to Chick-fil-A, and they were all meeting together, and he was on Zoom watching it and interacting through the video call. But it was just 15, 20 people, and they're just praying for each other. I was like, I've never seen anything like that before. So I was really encouraged. But anyways, we spent time with he and his wife, and they give us a tour of their little farm that they've got in their backyard. But he said that their main farm is out in Monteverde, which was 2.5 hours from where we were. But he's like, we want you guys to go out and stay in our cabin out there. He's like, the cabin is empty right now. There's nobody there. But it's on the coffee farm. And so you guys can go out there, you can stay as long as you want. You want to stay a week, you want to stay longer, that's perfectly fine. Just let us know. But we want to bless you guys. And so we drove out to Monteverde, and, we stay the night. We get to tour the coffee farm, the Chick-fil-A coffee farm. And then, we go into town, and we tour the town a little bit there in Monteverde. Beautiful town. But yeah, it was like their only desire. It wasn't to show off. It wasn't to say, hey, look at us and what we do. No, their only desire was to bless us because we love the Lord. And I believe that they would have that desire towards anyone.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't seem as though that was something special just for us. No, that's just their heart, to bless people. He said that their cabin, their farm, it's all for the purpose of the kingdom. And so we had an awesome experience with them. And then we spent 2 days there, and then we got on the road, and we were like, all right, it's time. We need to go to Panama.
Yeah.
So we drove out. The transmission started slipping. I was like, oh, no. Just praying over it. We get to the border. We go through the semi-complicated process of border crossing. It was a lot easier than some of the others we've been through, so there's not much to complain about there. But we make it into Panama. We're driving in. I'm looking for an ATM because I got to get the rest of our money so we can pay our rent. And that got very challenging, but that's all right. We managed to send our rent deposit. We get to the house. The landlord gives us a tour of the house, and I almost started crying because the house is bigger than it looked in the pictures. Normally, you see the pictures, and it's like, oh, that's actually kind of spacious. That looks good. Like, we can make that work. And then you show up, and it's like, oh. this feels very small. But here it was the opposite effect. On the pictures, it looked like, this could be adequate for our family. This could work.
Yeah, I mean, before even agreeing that we were gonna have to take this house with the landlord, I mean, it was just a leap of faith because we didn't have other option, because we have communicated and tried with so many other landlords, and everybody's like, we don't want children.
Yeah, so
you're too big family.
This is a heavily retirement community, and so the expats that come here, they're all older, and some of them have gotten into the ownership side of things, and they're renting places, and then others, they're just used to renting to retired people, and so it's like the point that I'm making is kids just don't come that much, and when they do, it's 2 kids. It's not 6 going on 7.
A whole pack.
Right? And so we got shut down and turned away from a lot of places, and then we reached out to this one, and it was like, no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
No worries at all. In fact, we'll lower the price $200, and you guys are able to stay for a year, no problem. And then since then, they're fixing our sofa, and I mean, it's just like they have gone out of their way to make this great. And so like I'm really excited. I'm so grateful for what God has been doing. I know that we've been on a really long journey, and it's I'm sure some of our stories have gotten have not been shared to the best of their ability, just because we've kind of been speed running through things. So much has happened. It's hard to break it down into just a story and share it. But I mean, we have future episodes for that. But no, I mean, I'm just grateful to be here. Like, we have traveled across the entirety of North and Central America to get right here. And we're here because this is where the Lord has sent us. This is the leap off point for Central America and South America, for the Caribbean, and by plane, North America. Yeah, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I'm just excited about what God is going to do here.
Yeah.
The fact that we're already building relationships, I mean, we've been here a day, right? But no, so like, we just want to stop and we want to say thank you, okay?
Thank you.
There have been many of you that have helped to support us financially. There have been even more of you that have helped in praying for us, in sharing our posts, in helping others to see what's been going on, where we've had need, where we've had victory, and such like that. And we just want to thank you guys. Like, God is building a community, not just where we are here, but with you all as well. God is building a community of us in order that the gospel will go forth, in order that disciples will be equipped and encouraged and actually pushed to step out and use the tools that God has given us. And so, I'm overly grateful. I want to ask, I don't normally do this, but I want to ask that you would share this video and help others to come alongside, because ultimately, like, yeah, we've been storytelling quite a bit, just giving updates as to what we've been going through. But like, now that we're here, okay, now it's time. We're going to be getting into field-tested faith, things that we're experiencing on the field, lessons that we can learn in stepping out and going forward and making disciples, like real life, real time. And we want people to hear. We want people to be involved, and we want people to actually receive the training and equipping that they need to do it themselves. So, anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Stay tuned. We're going to be getting back to our regular once-a-week episodes.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to add, if you ever want to come, you're welcome.
Yeah, we have the bunker here. We're going to be putting a bed in here pretty soon and setting it up in order for guests to join us. You want to come and actually, you just want to spend time with us?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
you want to come and get a little bit of training in sharing the gospel? Perfect. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
And we're like, I think 15 minutes from the airport, so it's not like you have to ride 8 hours on a bus or drive all the way through Latin America. Just get on a plane and come. Mm-hmm. And we'd be happy to receive you. So, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, well, with that, we love you guys. We thank you for following as the Lord has brought us through Central America. And we'll see you next time.